Welcome to episode 7 Above Board.
Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going over this year, what we can look forward to, also production. How is production going for me? Mainly because we've got the race season coming up. We've got a giveaway and just some general overall chatting, and we had quite a good conversation going before we started. So I'm like, why don't we just start and get this on camera?
I know. So, I mean, what we were talking about is just kind of like the whole OneWheel life, I guess you can call it. As in, we're riding a board with one giant wheel on it, and it's kind of like...
It's weird.
It's weird. When you talk to... I talk to my people, that I work with, or they're just like, you ride a board with a wheel on it? One wheel? Is it safe? And then you have to go and explain how safe it is, right? So
is anything safe? Is anything fun safe?
I don't
just
know.
Throwing that out there.
It's just you got to have a little bit of, perk or scariness in your life a little bit, and this kind of gives you that sense of freedom.
Yeah.
Old school skateboard kind of thing to my eyes. That's what I look at. And, and just get out there and just, you're kind of just basically surfing on the concrete or a trail.
So, and we've brought this up a couple times, I think, in past podcasts, but it seems like the people that ask us the most questions are older, specifically old ladies, which I find interesting. And I'm not talking little old ladies in walkers, but I don't know, 60 years old or older.
Yeah.
They are bold enough to ask, and I think part of it is, we're obviously older ourselves, so I don't know if they would stop a 16-year-old kid, although maybe they would, just to ask, but...
They probably would be annoyed if they saw a 16-year-old kid, I would think.
It's possible, and I think part of it is, wait a minute, here's, in their words, an older gentleman on a board, what's going on here? And part of it is, because I talked to my wife just a little bit about this. We're in our mid-50s, so we're not old yet, but we're not young.
Right.
And so because every time I get into a new hobby, when I got my first OneWheel and also the Antic bike and the Wheelie Fun bike that are coming out, I've got this huge 7-foot-long off-road skateboard thing, and she asked me about that too. She's like, how is this to ride? Is it something a 50-year-old woman could ride?
Yeah.
So she... and I mentioned to her, I said, yeah, older ladies, when we're riding around, they'll stop us and ask. And she said, well, part of it is it's interesting enough to catch their eye, but you're not a kid that's on it. So, somebody that's older is riding this thing. You must not need a lot of coordination or whatever. Yeah. So, but it's not as dangerous as backflipping dirt bikes and snowmobiles and some of the extreme sports. But let's face it, this is not a super safe hobby.
Yeah, it could be.
So, I mean, if you're careful or whatever, it's fine. But it's still, it's got just enough danger factor to it. And that's what I love about it. And I mean, right now, for me as a business owner, the bulk of my sales are to guys that are going to be racing them. So there are... more of the spending market for the aftermarket products are guys that are deep into it and they're racing. Mm-hmm. So, but then there is that contingent of just general street and trail riders that buy products and upgrade their board also. But there is overall sort of in society this odd thing where everybody has seen a OneWheel at this point. I mean, let's face it, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago when I was new at this, it was... What is that thing? Now it's, if somebody stops me, they're like, I keep seeing these things, or I've seen a couple of these things riding around. What is it? If I have one of my shirts on that has an image of the board on the chest, I'll be at a restaurant, people will ask. In fact, it's becoming common. I was at the Culver's in Island Lake where I live just the other day, and there was a table of, I don't know, probably 17, 18-year-old kids across the room, 4 of them. And I sat down, and they pointed to my shirt, and now they didn't know who I was. They knew about Tech Rails, though, but they said, you have one of those OneWheels? And I said, yeah, I manufacture Tech Rails. They're like, oh, yeah, I know what that is. Yeah. I'm like, cool. So OneWheels have found their place in the PEV community. We talked about that last podcast, but also they're still not common. They're still rare, but people know of them. And so I think that's a good thing. partly because I can ride around and every single person that sees it isn't staring, And the first year that I had one 5 years ago, every single person stopped me, and that was great. I like being ambassador for the cause, but you can't complete a ride. You go a block and a half, and somebody stops you. You talk for 15 minutes. You go for a block and a half, somebody stops you, and I believe in being an ambassador for the cause, but I'm glad that people have seen them now, especially in our towns. People have seen us riding around.
Yeah.
So. The comments I get more than anything else when people stop me is they're like, every time I see you, you're on a different board. And I'm like, well, I got, it fluctuates. I've got 6 boards up and running right now, and I'm building 5 more. So do I have 11? Do I have 6? How does that work? Every time I build 2 or 3, 1 or 2 of them sell immediately, which, by the way, I'm building, 5 boards right now.
Be on the lookout.
So, be on the lookout. They're all R&D boards, but I do eventually sell them just because I can't have that many boards. So if you're looking for a build, let me know. Most of them are high voltage builds, 125 volts and up or whatever. Well, 113 and up. Some of them are GTS 27 cell packs, and then I've also got 32 cell packs boards that I'm building. So, but anyway, so I have to bring that up. Then I'm like, well, okay, I make products, and so I have a bunch of different boards. But those are the people that will stop me in town now as they ask, is this a different board? Well, no, I've had this one for a while. I rarely ride it, or whatever. So, so production, let's talk about what we can look forward to this year first, because that'll kind of, lead into production. So as I mentioned last podcast, the interest level for the OneWheel platform seems to just starting to increase over the last couple of years that had been down a bit. Just consumer spending is up in that. But really, I believe that race attendance will be up quite a bit. So this coming year, we also mentioned in the Catch Me If You Can episode 6, tune in and watch that if you want. Long episode, but it's worth the watch.
And it's fixed. It's not flickering anymore.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. He put endless hours into fixing it.
It was a little stressful.
But as we discussed, there's a lot of legislation and stuff. So I think this coming year, there's going to be some cracking down on PEVs in maybe some townships, but also I think an improvement or an increase in overall PEV use. I already mentioned that the race attendance I'm expecting to be up this year.
Yeah.
Probably overall race spectatorship will be up, and so I'm. That's what I can expect. What I can predict for the coming year. I think that from a product standpoint, Future Motion is very focused on their Antic bike, and same with the Float Life, their wheelie bike. That's taking a lot of their focus. So those 2 companies, I believe, will be focusing quite a lot on the bike.
Yeah.
I plan on getting an example of each just to look at, potential upgrades for them. But I actually think that's going to drive the OneWheel usage up, not down. I've had a few people say, well, with the wheelie bikes coming out, people aren't going to be using their boards. There's such a different device.
Yeah, I think so.
That I definitely don't see that as the case.
I think a lot of people will have one of them, and a board.
Yeah.
Or, like we've talked about, maybe the spouse might have a board or Antic bike or a Feely One bike or one bike.
Exactly. So I think since it is one-wheel focused companies that are developing these wheelie bikes, people will naturally gravitate toward the board. And again, they're such different products. It's kind of like, saying that the wheelie bikes will detract from OneWheels is sort of like saying, well, the Hummer is going to reduce Corvette sales, or whatever. No, people that are looking for that product aren't looking for the other, with the exception of it may be that if somebody has a budget that they can only afford one product or the other, maybe that'll affect it. But I think enthusiasts will have both.
Even if you look at both of those bikes, they're completely different.
Yeah, they're very different. They're very different. And we also, the only thing that's similar about them is that
they just have a one-wheel tire.
Yeah, they have a one-wheel tire. Well, and they're self-balancing for wheelies.
Yeah, and you hit a button, you can pop a wheelie, that's super cool. But I really think the Float Life bike is a little bit more off-road.
Potentially. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, the amount of suspension that has on the bike, I mean, the back suspension under the seat, and then it's got full-on shocks in front. It looks to me a little bit more of a...
That could be, and
and the other one, the Antic, looks like a little bit more of a cruiser.
The Antic is less feature rich, but the price point's a little lower.
Yeah.
So I think they will appeal to their own markets as well, which is a really good thing. So I go back to, I think the wheelie bikes are actually going to encourage one wheel sales, not discourage it. And I think it has created its own sub niche. It's an electric mini bike, which there's plenty of them out there, but it has this trick and balancing kind of aspect to it. I've seen a couple videos of guys going backward on a wheelie.
What?
So, it's kind of cool. So I think,
cool.
I actually, and this would be another prediction, I guess, for the year, is that as these wheelie bikes are out there, you're going to start seeing guys do almost like flatland freestyle stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Tight spins on the back wheel and that kind of thing.
It's going to be a whole-on freestyle show.
Oh, yeah.
To you.
So I'm excited about that. And now, so with those predictions moving forward, I'm going to get into production. And that overlaps with one prediction that I hadn't yet mentioned, and that is that the popularity for the large tires is just increasing even more, and that's driving production. Now, I'm still I'm focused on the wheels that I make, both 5 and 6 inch variants, use the Future Motion Hypercore stator. And as you increase the diameter and increase the power that you're putting into that motor, heat becomes an issue. So I'm very focused on cooling products. So our stator inserts and axle inserts have been selling well. Haven't heard any negative feedback. All the feedback I've gotten has been positive as far as it does indeed aid in cooling, and quite a bit. Now I've had mixed reports, and I think a lot of this depends on how heavy you are as a rider, how warm your environment is, the type of riding you do. Do you have a BTG tire, or is it a standard size tire?
Right.
But running the axle insert and the stator insert combined, I'm hearing anywhere from 10 degrees Fahrenheit to as much as 40 degrees Fahrenheit drop in temperature using the two parts combined, which kind of goes along with the testing that I found as well. The liquid cooling is moving forward. I have a dozen heat exchangers made. The axle liquid cooling inserts, we keep revising and changing those, but we finally got a final revision of those, so I have a dozen of those being made for testing. So I'll keep a couple of these kits, but then I'll make several of them available for people to test. And that kind of goes along also with the version 2 ice blocks, which I posted on the Tech Rails Facebook page, a link to a short video kind of announcing and explaining those. They have double the heat sink fin area. The design looks pretty much the same. If you put it right next to an original set of ice blocks, you can see the slight increase in size. Yeah. But they have twice the heat radiating capacity because there's twice the fin area. Again, they look about the same, but radically increased fin area. They are improved ease of production, multiple height adjustment plates. So now you have multiple quarter-inch height positions instead of fewer half-inch height positions. Okay. So they're more tunable. And they come with an extra slot in the left side of the axle to run the liquid cooling lines for those that want to run liquid cooling. And for those that don't want to have to purchase additional axle blocks to do liquid cooling, I'll have a tutorial on how to add a groove to your stock or other aftermarket axle carriers for liquid cooling, so you don't need to buy the axle blocks. Because the liquid cooling set itself shouldn't be all that expensive. It's an axle cooling insert, a heat exchanger, a liquid cooling pump, some hoses, some wires, and a a buck converter, which is basically a voltage regulator to take battery voltage, step it down to between 3 and 6 volts for the motor. Or you can also use a single 18650 cell. One 18650 cell will run that cooling pump for 6 hours. So that's that. The production, just yesterday, I finalized production with the various machine shops that I use for pretty much everything. 5-inch wheels, 6-inch wheels, beadlock wheels, rails of all flavors, 357s and switchblades, extended length rails.
Nice.
So double XL rails for the 12/8 tire. And here's something that I haven't even told you about because it's very, very new. In fact, we haven't even completed the CAD work on it yet, but we're pushing hard. So I've got the 357 BTG rails that are coming out. I released pictures of those with the various changes for the extra wide 12/8 tire. Well, people have asked, well, what about the switchblades? So I just sent requirements to the guy that does CAD work for my rails to take my, and I made some extra long switchblades, just a few sets, but that was for the Float Life 12-inch tires. The 12/8 tire is yet larger in diameter and wider.
Right.
And it fits, but I mean, it's close. Like it wants to rub here, it wants to rub there. You got to minimize the PSI in the tire or maybe grind a little away from the deletes and stuff. So we are increasing the switchblades, the XL switchblades, just a touch further even. And then beyond that, the switchblade design, I found, at first I thought, well, the angle adjustment knuckles aren't going to allow widening. No, actually, they're going to be easier to widen those than what we went through with the 357s. So yes, we are making, the factory is doing CAD work and then going to rush me a prototype set. We're going to be making GT switchblades in double XL for the 12/8 tire that also have additional sidewall clearance. So I have those coming. I mean, everything.
That's good.
Big batch of the V2 ice blocks are being made. So pretty much everything. So if you guys want anything, and all this stuff I should have right before Dirt Surfers starts.
Okay.
So the various machine shops, I've kind of pressed them to commit to deliver within a 2-month span.
So that's Dirt Surfers is
May 15th. Is that the first?
May 15th, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So I pressed the factory to try to have shipments in 60 days from now. It's currently the 4th. Now, oftentimes they'll get the production done, but then there's some boxing and shipping and all that. So, but that's my goal. Plus things come in batches. So it might be that my rails come in before the wheels or whatever. Yeah. I have a few sets of rails, a few wheels in stock. You might want to grab them before they sell out. But so that's where we're at with production. And as far as new products coming down the pipeline, I typically don't like to release a lot of that, but I will. I'll give a little bit of details. I've had several people ask about billet foot pads for the XR. Yes. I've been saying yes for a year, but the main reason that I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet is mainly because the billet foot pads for the GT with all of the stud holes in them, we have version 2s being prototyped right now that are lighter, because that prototype set that I showed that were black, those were great, but they were not much, a tiny bit heavier than my standard billet foot pads, but those are already a little on the heavy side. So I wanted to reduce the weight. So we were able to make enough changes to reduce the weight on those to be lighter than my previous billet foot pads. And so the factory is rushing another set of prototypes just to make sure there's no clearance issues. I don't want to order a production run of, whatever, 50 sets or whatever it is, and find out that all of them have to have some grinding done or some crazy thing. So we want to finalize that. So once those get finalized, along with accessory extra wide side wings, and those will not only fit the new billet foot pads, but all my existing ones. Those have threaded holes for all the side wings moving forward, both the standard narrow ones and the extra wide. are drilled and tapped now for 6mm threads for my own studs, because the 4M holes for the BMX pedal pins, those people are struggling to find the pedal pins. There's a bunch of manufacturers for them, but also the 4M threads, they're not as durable as I'd like. So now they all have 6M threaded holes. They're backward compatible, so you can get the different side wings to fit your original billet foot pads. The wide side wings have 2 rows of holes for the studs, so you can now make a really wide, what would it be? Good grief, 13.5, I think, inch wide foot pad front and rear, or have one wide side wing on one foot pad, the other side wing on the other foot pad for an offset foot stance that I shared in a previous video. So all that stuff's going into production now.
That's awesome.
There are a couple other new things for this year, but that is discussion for another day. But that's the majority. Should I even mention? I'll mention it. So the most recent product is a chassis harness, GT chassis harness, going from the battery box to the controller box.
Yep.
So this has been something people have been asking for a while, because the billet battery and controller boxes for GT format. By the way, those are being prototyped as we speak. So, and they're rushing prototypes. So those are going into production. The production boxes won't make it for dirt surfers, but by midsummer I'll have production of those. But people have been asking, they're like, well, if you have a controller and battery box, what about those of us that need harnesses? Mainly people running large tires, whether it be for a GTS or an XL that you're stretching for a big tire, or a normal GT platform, or somebody building their own DIY board, whatever. They want a harness to connect the two boxes, because the harness is one thing that you can't get from Future Motion. If you want a replacement harness, there have been a few people that have had their tire wear through their patch in the harness or whatever. Those harnesses used are going for a mint, because you can't get it without the battery module. So I'm making my own harness, and it will be just a standard GT for replacement harness for people with a GT. But if you're building your own board, you could use it as well. It's going to be really high end, RF shielded, waterproof, RF shielded, a woven sheath, probably patterned woven sheath. It'll be Tech Rails branded.
That's awesome.
Very fine strand power wire, and that will and soft insulation. Now it will be multiple insulators, for protection, but it will be relatively soft. None of this stiff harness, especially the XR. It's like a copper bar. High-end connectors. The XT60s will be XT60H, a little bit bigger than standard, or a little bit better than standard XT60s, but plug directly in. The cable glands will be aluminum, so they're really good, durable, but lightweight. So we're looking into having special colors done for the cable glands. So I'm excited about that, and I'll probably have prototypes within the next couple of weeks, and my thanks to the guy that's working on it. I will give him props. Once we get the project all done, I'll give him full credit for that. It's somebody that reached out to me and just said, "Can I help in any way?"
That's awesome.
And then he's like, we make high-end automotive harnesses." I'm like, "Oh, I've been trying to find someone to make harnesses forever." Because I make replacement motor connectors if you damage the connector, but the chassis harness, people want replacement chassis harnesses and can't get a harness. So that we're working on. So a lot of rambling there, but that's those are product updates. And so beyond that, any interesting stuff you have on your mind that we may not have talked about before? Or?
Well, you know what? There was just a big gathering down in Miami called Stokebird 26. And
do you know what the attendance was?
I do not.
I mean, I heard attendance was good. I just didn't. I don't know what the exact.
It popped up on YouTube, and I watched this video that a family from Southern Illinois. I'll have to send it to you. Well, I'm going to put it on the description. But I kind of DM'd them, and I said I was going to. Great video. him and his wife. His wife was on an e-bike, and with the cart pulling the kids, and he was, filming with this 360 camera.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
you saw that too?
Yeah.
It was awesome video. It was like 20 minutes long, and it was just. I'm gonna go next year. I'm telling you, this looks fun. Just the colors of all the paintings on the downtown of Miami and stuff, and it looked like there was non-stop events going on. I mean, you had time to go back to they were staying at Airbnb and then charge a little bit, and then pack up and go down to another ride event, and it just looks like it was fun. I even told my wife we're gonna throw your e-bike in the back of the car and we're gonna go down there and do that. So the
Miami, I don't know if you call it the street culture, but there's a strong car culture and extreme sports, and that Miami is quite the place. I mean, there's a lot of crazy cars and custom motorcycles and that down there. So I think it's a good spot for a one-wheel event.
The weather was nice, he said. I mean, on the video it was like 80 degrees, 70 to 80 degrees, and oh boy, right now I could definitely use that. So we keep getting teased with a little bit of nice weather. What, next week it's supposed to be 74, then drop down to 30s again. It's
it's
come
crazy.
on.
I mean, now don't get me wrong, I'd rather have that than just cold all winter. Yeah. But every winter we've got a little bit of that false summer kind of in the middle.
But the other thing I want to talk about is I reached out to a company called Gripthane and asked if they would like us to talk about their grip tape on the podcast. And Ryan was like super stoked to actually do this. So he sent a bunch of samples, and I have an array of samples here, and I'll talk about each sample. But they actually did something kind of cool and actually made a grip tape of Aboveboard.
Yeah, that turned out awesome.
This is cool. And it's made with the Diamondback pattern, which is more of the racing pattern. It's super grippy, doesn't wear. I mean, it's like you're on it, You're definitely stepping on this, and you're not touching more of the board, you're touching all the grip. I mean, you're definitely elevated on this grip tape. So it's super cool that they did that. So let me kind of talk about, and if you hear my dog upstairs, I do apologize. Mr. Luke is being a watchdog.
Sidebar too, if you have products that you'd like us to feature, just let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're not going to guarantee that we can feature everything, but we kind of pick and choose a little bit depending on what we assume people would like to see in that.
So this grip tape's called the Sidewinder. It's more of a low profile grip. He says, definitely for maybe a person that's still trying to figure out their footing. It's not super grippy, so you can kind of slide your foot around a little bit. Mm-hmm. More of a freestyle grip tape.
Okay. Looks like it sits a little lower too.
Yeah, totally lower. A range of colors that you can get this. It's super cool. And then, this is kind of neat though. This is the actual XR clone grip tape, and this one says Aboveboard on it. Super cool. This is it's kind of a star pattern. Not really a star pattern, but kind of, what would you call that?
Yeah, it's
kind of
maybe
a star. He's got a star right there, but
it's a little bit of a diamond star.
Diamond pattern. So again, it's straight up from the classic XR, foot pad. Grip tape. I think it's definitely of a retro. If you have a XR that you want to put your stuff on and re-grip it, this would be kind of a cool one to do. Let's see what else we got. We have the Diamondback. Again, the Diamondback is more of the racing type. For racing, definitely a lot of racers use it. Very grippy. And then you got the Superstar. This is a traction level 4 to 5, clear dark blue. It's kind of, when you put it on, if you have a wood grain board, it'd be nice to see that through there. It's really grippy too.
See the sensor through it too, I suppose.
Oh yeah, you probably could. This is definitely grippy too. So you can get this all. He can do graphics on a lot of the patterns that you asked for. If you go on his website, you're definitely going to see a little bit more selection than what we got here. So let's talk about a giveaway.
Yeah, so this will be our giveaway for the week.
This is going to be the giveaway, yes, exactly. So,
and we've got similar giveaway next week.
Yes, we do.
Just keep that in your back of your brain.
Grip Thane is wanting to give away a set of grip tape, and on the podcast. And what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to happen. You're going to send us an email, and you're going to send it to aboveboardpodcast@gmail.com, and tell us why you want that grip tape on your board.
And you can choose whatever set you want.
Yeah, exactly. So what's going to happen, we're going to go through the emails. The three of us are going to select the winner, and we'll contact you. You'll get a code for free shipping and free set of grip tape. So that is super cool that Grip Thane's doing. So shout out to them. Also, I'll just tell you something later on. So that's kind of another little thing that we got going on with Grip Thane. So a lot of people have asked. We kind of debuted some jerseys that we had made, and it got some traction. And people want to know if they can get a Aboveboard jersey. I'm putting that together, so hopefully maybe by next week I'll have some sort of sign-up sheet for that. Where you were able
not a profit-bearing thing for us.
Absolutely
We're just going to charge what it costs us to make them.
The profit of it is having our logo out.
Having our logo.
I mean, that is the cool thing about it.
We're in the process right now of getting all the permissions. My thanks to Jeff McCosker from the Float Life, and so I got to talk to Brad from OneWheel Parts about getting his logo. What
we got Chillis, Kyle Wong. Grip Thane's going to offer theirs up. We actually got approval to have the Chicago OneWheel logo on.
Oh, that's super cool.
It is super cool.
That's awesome.
I know. So going through some chats with them, we got the logo, and it's actually on the prototype online. It looks pretty neat. So, yeah, if again, like what Matt said, if you got product out there that you want to have somebody talk about, have us talk about.
Now,
did you guys? So.
Did you, and this is not something that Dave and I have discussed, is it going to go along with the lines of the same design that we had previously?
Yeah.
So are you going to offer various colors too? Or?
I can.
Dave's totally in charge of this thing. He just asks me questions occasionally.
I could probably do that. I've been working with
the giveaways and the jerseys every day.
Yes, I know, right? So, yes, I've thought about a darker option, maybe a black option.
Okay.
With some different colors on there. I'm still working up the design. But yeah, once I kind of figure out who's all going to be, on the actual jersey. Again, we're not making any money. They're not paying us to put the stuff on here. We're just super cool. We talk about the product and ask to say, I've asked them, hey, can we put your logo on the jersey? So
I'm going to grab mine just to hold it up here. So this is these are the sort of prototype jerseys that Dave had made, and like I said, I don't. Dave's the one handling all of this as far as colors and design and all that. But that's the front, and then we've got lettering on the rear.
Yeah.
And so on the sleeve, logos and that, and so we these were just a couple he had made for us, but we didn't have permissions to market anything with logos. So so any companies that we put logos on, we have to get their
definitely an email
first,
saying that's okay. One of the things that I have, the front, I've increased the logo size of the Aboveboard, so it's going to be a little bit bigger because it looks a little small once you kind of look at it. But yeah, we're hoping to get maybe a couple more.
Well, and also, gosh, I should have brought it with me. Steve Schoonmaker had Tech Rails jerseys made, and this was totally on his own accord.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, 3 years ago maybe now.
Yeah.
And they turned out awesome. So I've kind of got a jersey collection going on, and it's funny. I never ride with a jersey on, but it's it's a form of artwork. It's worn artwork. So I love the thought. It's just not something I have time to do. Mm-hmm. It's something that Dave totally picked up on his own. And so that's something I want to point out. this podcast is really a Dave thing. So all the compliments, I get DMs all the time. Podcast looks great. We are in Dave's basement. This is Dave's setup, Dave's equipment. Dave does all the work for this. This is completely Dave's thing. I keep telling him, I'm like, dude, you're doing so much. No, I just love it.
It's awesome. I love it.
So my thanks to Dave, because this is his thing. I'm just the idiot sidekick that shows up, but it's really
we wouldn't have a podcast if you're not involved. So, I mean, I'm very appreciative that you're actually doing this. So, it's good. I've said a couple times, maybe I could do if you want me to do it solo. Matt's a very busy person too.
Well, we both are. You work a lot.
I know, I do, but it tends to happen. We film on one of my days off. So,
but so I'm busy, but being that I have a couple small businesses, what I like to tell people is I can generally take off any time I want. I just can't take off all the time I want. I can usually move my schedule around. But my schedule is constantly flowing. So, for instance, I had 3 conflicts today, all at 2 o'clock. One of which, while talking, texted me just a couple minutes ago to say, "Oh, I can't make our 2 o'clock appointment." So now I'm going to reach out to one of the others and say, "Okay, well, I couldn't. I had this conflict, 2 o'clock conflict, but one canceled." And so my schedule is Though I'm busy, it's generally flexible. I've been shocked that even though we're both busy people, we've been able to connect every week.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird.
We did we filmed one later, and that was the one that was number 6. And I do apologize for the flickering in the video. I figured out what it was.
I like that video. And we've had, if you look at the flickering version and the fixed version combined, I think we're nearing the most views we've ever had.
Yeah, because I paused.
The first one we've had 400 plus so far.
Yeah, the first episode. The number 6, when I finally got the other one up and running, and I kind of swapped it with Spotify, I can upload a new version and it just takes the place of the old version. With YouTube, you have to pause the old one and email me if I'm wrong, but I kind of read everything and I just uploaded the new one. And when I paused it, it just kind of took over. So the first episode, that 6th episode, before I paused it, it had like 166 views on it, and now this one I think is maybe it's over 100. I don't know.
It was like 96 yesterday or something.
So it's we're getting traction, and that's what we want. Good. We got 98 viewers. It's trying to get above 100. That'd be so cool. Keep spreading the word.
This was only ever supposed to just be a fun thing.
I know,
it really
but
is.
It's like it's so cool that people actually watching. And
I think there is what's going to end up happening is this is going to develop sort of its own life, so to speak. And I can moving forward, I can probably come up with some above board specific item, maybe some special color of a product that's just with the Aboveboard logo on it or whatever. And this has been a lot of fun. And we have an outline when we talk. We have an outline, but we always break away from it.
Yeah, we do.
And so, which is totally fine.
I think that's what people like about it, is that we just talk about, a lot of people talk about, I just let it run in the office.
My Float Life order was just delivered.
Ooh, nice. Float Life order. I got one showing up on Saturday. So
you gotta love notifications on your watch.
Chillis order too. Thank you, Kyle Wan. I think a lot of people they make comments about, hey, we just let it play in the background at work. Just kind of soothing. It's fun to listen and watch. That's what we want. It's a lot of people think it's maybe a little too long. I know episode 6 was a little too long.
Yeah, it was a little long, but part of that was because we did a full-length podcast plus the riding segment.
Yes.
So now here's a question that I have. I know that there are the Chicago OneWheel crew, and we've connected with them, but are there any other locals? We're in Northern Illinois, Lake, McHenry County, Illinois. Are there any other locals that watch that are within our within maybe an hour of here or something. I'm kind of curious. Number one, you want to connect and ride when the weather gets nice. Number two, I'd like to find people that are near us that either we can interview or just connect with more. Not that I want to form our own club or group or anything. The Chicago OneWheel is good for that. But what are some other locals that are nearby? I mean, I've personally hand delivered, I don't know, a dozen different parts. There's a number of people just barely over the border in Wisconsin. We are, what do you think, 20 minutes south of the border? 25 minutes, something like that?
If that,
south of the Wisconsin-Illinois border. So who else is nearby? Make a comment or reach out to us and let us know who you are. And
and two, I'm going to be at Dirt Surfers in Eureka, Arkansas. I will be at the Raleigh, North Carolina event.
Okay.
What's it called? Shred? I don't know. Oak City Shred Fest. I'll be there. I've already booked those. I'll be at the other Windman in September, at the end of September. I was going to go to Lemonade Float Fest in Austin, but it just didn't work out with time off.
Well, and you just changed where you're working through too.
I did.
So
I moved to
that might
another
affect
location,
your vacation time.
It actually didn't.
It didn't?
Nope.
Wow,
it was
that's
pretty
shocking.
nice. Very nice. Yep. But yeah, that's where I'm going to be. Driving the old Tesla out there, and it'll be fun. So.
Yeah. So bringing up the Tesla, I guess this is another topic that maybe we should do an entire podcast on this, but electric propulsion. Yeah, we'll save that for another complete podcast. But because previous to doing the OneWheel stuff, I've had several other small businesses which I've touched on in the past. But before this, the previous business was electric drive systems for e-bikes before you could buy decent turnkey e-bikes that were reasonably priced. And just electric propulsion on the whole has gone way up. I had a guy less than a week ago take me aside and say that he has some family in another country that lives in an extremely rural, borderline jungle type area, and they're looking at getting an electric outboard motor, solar panels, and that because getting fuel, it's like $20 a gallon or something crazy, and they do a lot of river traveling. So he was asking me about electric boats and or electric motors and propulsion systems, and it's not something I knew much about, but the temperature is hot, so I've been researching. I think Life PO4 are more, it's a chemistry that's more thermally stable than other lithium chemistries, and so I'm researching that for them. And it's just, electric propulsion has really begun to take off. And I'm not a pure EV, I'm an enthusiast. I'm not sort of an EV disciple that pushes it. We've got 2 gas cars. Our van is a small Mini Cooper convertible. And then my one service tech for my appliance business, I have him driving a hybrid, so a Ford C-Max hybrid, great car. So I'm not against gas, but I got to tell you, electric propulsion has really come into its own, and so I think that's a good subject because Dave and I both have Model 3s.
I'll give my opinion.
Never asked him how he got into it, what his thoughts are on it. So
it's just
you'll hear that fresh.
We'll talk about that.
Maybe the next podcast or within the next couple.
Yeah,
within the next couple.
Let's do that. Yeah, definitely. What else do we have?
That's all I have.
I think that's about it too. Again, I'm going to give you guys a week to submit your emails to aboveboardpodcast@gmail.com
for a free set of grip tape.
For the free set of grip tape with Gripthane. Also, share your thoughts. Keep the comments coming. I'll try to make sure I keep those videos non-flickering. So, and my watch just keeps going off. I apologize. It's just one of those days. But again, let's keep it clean. Let's keep it safe. And let's keep it above board. What do you think?
All right.
All right. Thank you again.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. See you in the next episode.
Riding chasing souls. Send it hard.